Good morning. And I'm Tony, and I'm on the Board of Trustees here in Springfield, Vermont. We are a community that listens, learns, and welcomes everyone. Thank you all, both here and right here on Zoom land, for joining us this morning, and have a good day. Oh, yes, also, you're welcome to stay afterwards, either here on Zoom or for our virtual coffee hour, or if you're in attendance to join the group afterwards for coffee. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. I just want to do a quick introduction of my friend Jo, who is here with her husband Gus. They are neighbors of mine, moved up here full-time just as COVID was starting. And Jo is a yoga teacher. I took an online retreat with her in the fall of 2020, and I'm here to say it was marvelous. She's a good teacher. And she does yoga in large part supporting those who care for others. And for those of you who drive Brockway Mills at all, you will know where they live. They live where their 2 cows and the big egg with the little chicken are. So enjoy. Okay.
This is a reading from the Essene Book of Meditations and Blessings. It's for the season of Imbolc, and our seasonal focus is brooks run free and buds appear. And the morning focus for Sunday is the angel of earth. There is a part of me that is rooted firmly in the earth. It is to this grounded, solid me that I now deeply bow. For without this, there could be no expansion, no life-giving nourishment, coursing to my tender new leaves. No strong stem to reach toward the sun. The earth is my home for this incarnation, and I am blessed. And this is from the Lunar Tao. Set the stage for our time together today. No earth, flat, expansive, endless, and broad, where all things grow and where they all return. No earth. The earth has become home to every human being and will be home to every human being to come. It is the ground for all our foibles and our ambitions, for our marauding and conquering campaigns, and our quiet days of eking out crops in the fields, for our play in the dirt and our lying with mates in mossy nests, for our first steps and our last fall. All that grows on this planet grows from the earth. All that dies on this planet falls to the earth. And in that mysterious power that is both womb and grave, all that is ruined is taken, and all that grows again is brought forth. Just as the ground is support, acceptance, and the basis for all that we are, so too is the force of earth a vital force in the way of all the universe. For the power of earth is gravity, and gravity is fundamental to the universe. Earth is the harmonizing force, the force that takes every extreme and makes it level. Earth is gravity, attraction, a connection without there being anything solid, a tether more powerful than any rope, a force for an allegiance more powerful than any kingly demand. The 4 seasons have their distinct characters, but who is subtle enough to see what's between the 4 seasons? Look there and you will see. no earth. And we have to everything, there is a season.
To everything there is a season, there is a time for all these things, a time to plant and a time to reap, a time to lose, a time to keep, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance. To everything there is a season, there is a time for all these things. A time to follow, a time to lead, a time to speak and a time to read, a time to sleep and a time to wake, a time to give and a time to take. Through all our days and all our ways, we walk in hope that we might gain the time to live and the time to share, the time to love and the time to care.
This is The Legend of Pangu. It's adapted by Isabel O'Grady, and it's a Chinese creation story. In the beginning, there was nothing but formless chaos. There was no light or darkness. There was no start or end to the universe. Eventually, the chaos came together to form a cosmic egg that lasted for 18,000 years. Within this cosmic egg, the forces of yin and yang formed, and Pangu woke up. Pangu was a big giant. He had horns on his head like a moose and was hairy like a bear. As soon as Pangu was awake, he started creating the world and everything in it. He started it by a swing of his axe, separating yin and yang. Yin was now the earth, and yang became the sky. Yin and yang wanted to be together again, but Pangu stood between them to keep them separated. As each day passed, the sky grew 10 feet higher, the earth 10 feet thicker, and Pangu 10 feet taller. Pangu also got help from 4 beasts: turtle, kirin, phoenix, and dragon. Even with the help of the 4 beasts, it took Pangu another 18,000 years to keep yin and yang apart. But after that 18,000 years, Pangu died. But even though he died, his parts still help the earth. His breath became the wind, and his voice became thunder. His left eye became the sun, and his right the moon. His head became the mountains, and his blood became the rivers. His muscles became fertile land, and his facial hair became the stars and the Milky Way. His fur became bushes and forests, and his bones became valuable minerals. His bones became sacred diamonds, and his sweat became rain. The fleas on his fur, carried by the wind, became the animals of this world. Without Pangu, the world would not be the same as it is today. We have an affirmation.
Love is the doctrine of this church. Please join me. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve the needs of all beings, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with the source of our being. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Bill will play some music while we collect the offering for the ongoing work of this congregation and food for the Family Center. Thank you.
Notice where you are in this world, where your seat is, and allow yourself to start to settle in that place. Maybe you shift around a little bit, right and left. This is where your base, the part that's you, meets the earth that's underneath you. So maybe you're connecting with your feet, maybe your back. Might be laying down, you might be sitting in a chair, you might be sitting on the earth. So wherever you are, find that place. If it feels right to you, we can go ahead and allow the shades of your eyes to start to lower. Maybe you'll gaze a little bit at the floor in front of you, or you might pull those shades down all the way so that your eyes actually close. Whatever feels most comfortable for you today. As you make that subtle shift, you might notice that you sink a bit more into this earth. As you bring your attention to your breath, notice any changes there. Maybe the breath has slowed down a bit or has actually physically dropped in your body a bit lower. Perhaps it's gotten a bit slower, a bit softer. I invite you to connect even more with the earth by adding this simple hand posture. Take your two fingers, your peace fingers, and bring them together instead of the peace sign like this, and connect them to something. Maybe you're at home sitting on the floor, you're plugging right into the earth. Maybe if you're here, you're plugging into the side of the chair, or even right onto your lap. And see how that feels. Try that on for a moment. You can go back to allowing your eyes to close or your gaze to soften. And see if this plugging in that you've done connects you even more with the earth. You might literally think about plugging something into an outlet, right? You're drawing energy from a place. And maybe it's also a place from which you can exchange or discharge your energy. You can send away anything that doesn't serve you through this place. With this extra bit of connection that you've added, see if you can find even more grounding to this earth place. See if you notice a change in your breath, a change in the way you've settled here. All of this setup that we've done allows the top of your head, the crown of your head, to reach up toward the sky. You grow maybe a bit taller, even as you plug into the earth beneath you. All of this grounding, all this preparation allows what happens in your head, your peak, to dream, to communicate, to connect with other people. In between these two places, your base and your peak, notice the slope of your shoulders. This is the place that allows the storms that might come up to stay on your surface, to tumble away from you. Because what's really true to you, what's most important is at your center, and that's unchanged no matter what goes on at your surface. Bring your attention and awareness now back to your base again, back to your seat, back to your feet. This time, notice where your base, your foundation, where that ends. And then notice where it might meet up with another base, someone nearby to you, nearby physically or across time or space. And recognize yourself as part of this strong and resilient mountain range. It's like a family of unique structures. Each one of you, you're all different, we're all different, but we're all part of a whole. Let's take just a few moments to appreciate this now. When it feels right for you, you can release the physical connection that you made to the earth, that plugging in. Maybe allow your fingers to circle and move out, circle out your wrists. Maybe even shake out your hands if that feels good. And really slowly come back into the room by lifting the shades of your eyes. You can swivel your head to take in the colors and sights of things that are around you. Never losing that connection and that appreciation that you made with what you just discovered about yourself and about others. Just orienting yourself back to the present moment. Mark the close of the practice that you just participated in by filling yourself with a full inhale. And then exhale, maybe even sending it out with a little sigh, a little sweet sigh. When Sharon asked me to come and speak with you, she told me about your theme for the year, which I thought was marvelous and large and had a lot of depth to it. And I thought it might be interesting to share with you a traditional Chinese medicine perspective on the earth element, so you can know a little bit more about the earth as you move forward and connect with or create earth community. So we'll just do a little exploration. So you might be familiar with the yin yang symbol. It's actually several places here, right in the room with us. the black and white image that joins together for the circle. That might be familiar to you. And you might know that it represents harmony or balance. But there's also a 5-element theory in traditional Chinese medicine that goes a little bit deeper than the simple yin and yang. So instead of 2 pieces, there's actually 5. We're going to focus our attention today on the earth element, but in addition to earth, there's wood, fire, metal, and water as well. And these 5 elements operate in concert with each other. They relate to each other in different ways. They generate each other and they control each other. But the goal is always to keep them in balance or keep them in harmony. I like the word harmony a little bit better. To keep them sort of singing nicely together. That's what allows us to be healthy as individuals and for us as communities to work together and be successful. And all of this too is based on the Chinese idea of qi or qi. You may have seen it spelled QI, which is energy, life force energy. Everything is energy, has energy, and this idea of the 5 elements is the thing that keeps that energy moving. So today, just for today, we'll focus on the earth. So when it comes to the earth element, it helps to understand a little bit more by even looking out the window. Well, what is earth? What does it look like? What does it feel like? First of all, as we've talked about already today, it's home to every being. Every being has come from the earth. Everything on the planet returns back to the earth at some point. And the power of the earth is gravity. And this is fundamental. It affects everybody. It's sort of the great leveler of everyone. The earth itself is receptive to things around it, to rain and wind and storm. It sort of just deals with the things. Sometimes it sheds those things. Sometimes it takes those things in, but it doesn't complain about them or push them away. It's receptive to those things. So when you think about earth, it's a great leveling force. It's a great harmonizing force. And in traditional Chinese medicine, this idea of support and acceptance and really who we are as a person is central to earth. In traditional Chinese medicine, for each of these elements, there are many, I would even say endless categories that we can have. And in the category, you can decide how the element behaves. And it doesn't take you long for you to figure out that pattern and to sort of become proficient at this. But we'll just look at a few of these categories for you to get an idea of the earth a little bit better. So the quality of earth in terms of a shape would be a square. Square is very stable. It's not rolling around or away. It's very even and it's very predictable. The material that is earth would be bone or clay, be very solid and dense. The direction associated with earth is the center, our center. The very center of our being happens to be where our stomach is. We'll be talking about that a little bit more. But it is also the center of anything is where you can find earth because it's level and balanced. The season is a little bit interesting. So there's some different theories in this. Some say that the earth season is late summer, that beautiful time right before fall arrives. We're really appreciating summer. But earth season really is the time between the seasons. And some even say it is the best days of the season. Traditional Chinese medicine says it's the 18 best days of the season, right before the season changes. And that's why I was happy to be here today, because I sort of feel like we are in a little bit of an earth season right now. The snowstorm we had here yesterday reminded me of that because I felt a beautiful snowstorm. It was lovely to be inside looking at it. It wasn't too windy. It wasn't too cold. It was sort of just the right kind of winter snowstorm. I might even say it's like was one of the best days of the winter. So we're getting ready for that transition, but this is definitely Earth time right now. The climate tends to be a little damp when it comes to Earth because Earth soaks in that moisture. And by now you might be being able to answer these on your own. The phase when it comes to yin and yang is in balance. Things are in balance. Things are harmonized. The energy is stabilizing. And I like this one. And the animal is livestock, and cattle specifically is associated with the earth element. Those of us in Vermont appreciate cattle. My husband and I have pet cows, and we love seeing their big, blocky, very stable bodies hanging out in our fields. And they definitely return things to earth, right, Sharon? We like to share manure with folks who need it for their gardens. And the body part, our body parts that are associated with the earth element, I did mention the center of our beings, but specifically our muscle and our food that we take in and digest becomes muscle, which becomes our strength. So all of these things are associated with earth. So I think maybe you're starting to get the hang of what earth is all about and what makes it unique. One of the most wonderful things I think about the earth element is that it's all about self-care. If it's about the center of you, it's about taking care of you so that you can support other people. And take care of the planet so we can continue being on this earth, right? And in order to care for yourself, the critical things that need to happen are a sense of groundedness and presence, that you know where you are and when, and that you're connected, that you feel connected with other people. You're not in isolation, that you know that you're part of something larger than yourself. And these other ways that it's important for us to feel connected and cared for is to notice, say, the right and left sides of our body, notice the insides of our body as well as the outsides. You know, what is our place on the earth? Where do we stand and what is our part of it? All of that is critical to self-care. And also, I think some people might say, like, walking your walk and talking your talk. So you're being very real and very centered. All right. So that's the background. The most important thing now is to feel it in your own body. So I have a few very simple practices that you can do right from your chair if you'd like. If you feel like standing up and experiencing these practices in a different way, you're welcome to do that. Same thing at home. You can be seated where you are. You might choose to stand up. But we'll move through a few of these and see how they relate for you. So the first one is a sense of presence. And whether you're seated or standing, I'll ask you to notice your feet on the floor. And so you really feel your heels and the balls of your feet, and maybe you can even feel each of your toes. Whether you're wearing shoes or not, you can still feel these things. And these are the things that literally, right, connect you to the earth. I'll ask you to bring your attention to that place just underneath the ball of your foot, ball of each foot. You got one on each side. You know, when you walk through a puddle and you leave a footprint or you walk through some mud, that place where you push off from the ball of your foot, sort of right at the base of that, bring all your attention there. That's actually the first point on the kidney meridian in traditional Chinese medicine. And it's literally the most grounding place in your body. It's a place where you can imagine plugging in, like we plugged in with our fingers previously, where you are always plugging in. When you're standing, you're plugging into the earth. And it's also a place where you can imagine maybe discharging some stuff that you don't need. When you're having a day where you're carrying a lot of things that are weighing you down, think about discharging that through that point in your feet. And you might enjoy it later, maybe as you're walking, doing, doesn't need to be a formal walking meditation, but as you're walking, you can imagine leaving behind the things you don't need, like your footprints. And if you need some extra energy as you're walking too, you can imagine soaking in that energy. That's a really good one because nobody has to know what you're doing, right? When you're I always, my favorite thing to say is standing in line at the store, the grocery store. Nobody knows that you're making this great exchange of energy with the earth. All right. This one involves a little bit more movement. I'm going to ask you to bring your hands to your low belly, anywhere that's comfortable. You can pile your hands one on top of the other. You can have them side by side. What's most comfortable for you? You can even interlace. Some of you have your fingers interlaced. And bring your awareness down to that place. This whole center of your body is your earth space, as we've talked about. We'll get more specific shortly. But as you're breathing here, I invite you to add just a little bit of small movement here. On your next exhale, with your right hand, gently press away, just ever so slowly and ever so smallly, in a small way. On an inhale, when you're ready, gently draw back. And you can rest the hand back where it was. So it's a simple, small movement. And we'll add to it. Again, on an exhale, your left hand gently draw away. Imagine like you're pushing something with the gentlest force. And then on an inhale, bring that back in. And I'm going to invite you to just keep doing this on your own while I talk a little bit more, and I'll keep doing it as well. So with this motion, just like you're leaving those footprints, imagine sending away something you don't need from your center. And then on an inhale, drawing in something that would feel really good to you, something that would really support you in your day. And y'all seem like you're doing this with just the right amount of tension. Tension's the wrong word. There's almost no tension here. I think about maybe handling one of those balloons. You're handing someone a balloon, how gentle you would be handing them a balloon. And then when you draw in, it's as if you're picking that first tomato of the summer and you don't want to squish it, right? So you're just enough force to bring it in, but not with a hard fist. And if this feels good to you, you can add bigger movements here as well. So you can even take this up and down with your gaze, if that might feel right. Might feel good to stretch at this point. And to come back to center. And remember, each time your hands come back to the center, find home base. And you can look up or maybe look down. Find that bend at your wrists if that feels good. There's some nice acupressure points at your wrists. And as you're doing this type of bigger movement, this stretching or lengthening, see if you can feel that lengthening happening at your center. That's, again, the main place that we're focusing on. And then always coming back. And you can keep going a little bit here. We're going to change one more time. And you can come back to center whenever it feels right for you. This place at your center, I'm going to ask you to get real specific here. Let's go below the rib cage, between the rib cage and your belly button. That's the place we'll settle hands now. Same thing, maybe you're going to pile them one on top of the other. Maybe they're side by side. Doesn't matter which one's on top. Can you start to notice the warmth of your hands like seeping in to your body here when your hands are at rest? In traditional Chinese medicine, this is your cook pot. This is where your stomach is. This is where the stuff happens to build that muscle that's so important to keep us upright on this earth. And it's important in traditional Chinese medicine to keep the cook pot warm. Ayurveda, also the Indian form of medicine, also believes this, to keep your digestive organs warm and humming and functioning. And it also gives us the opportunity to come back to ourselves here. Maybe when you're feeling a little bit scattered or up in your head or distracted, this can also help us come back to this place. And you have every opportunity, if you'd like, to circle here, or to maybe bring some energy by rubbing up and down a little bit here, whatever might feel best for you. But always know that there's lots of stuff going on underneath your hands. And it's critical to your continued existence on this earth. So take just a few more moments here to find this place and settle in here. And as you're enjoying the warmth of your hands, just wanted to remind you of a few ways that you can continue connecting with this place of yours, this all-important place of yours, so that you can go out into the world and create earth community. So the taste in traditional Chinese medicine for the earth element is one of sweetness. So imagine or think about sweet tastes. Doesn't necessarily have to be a lot of sugar or anything like that, but a sweetness in a piece of fruit, or a sweet conversation that you might have with someone. Those are all things that support our earth element. Connecting with nature and other people. I think we've said that again and again, and we hear that through our music, how important that is. And then this practice of gratitude to counteract any worry. You know, we tend to feel and hold worry and those sort of negative emotions in this place in our stomach, right? We say, oh, I have a stomach ache, I don't feel comfortable. And oh boy, how that thing went, I didn't feel right about it. And that's where you feel it. A practice of gratitude, whether you're keeping a journal or where you express to another person, thank you for doing something for me. Those things tend to push away worry. Worry is at a different time. Gratitude is right now, is our feet on this earth and appreciating what we have right now. So those are things that you can do even without the use of your hands at any time. So how did that feel for you? How were those practices? You all feel kind of calm and settled now?
I feel more relaxed, very much more relaxed.
Good.
I mean, I didn't feel tense before, but I mean, I've let go of something. I'm relaxed.
That's great. Sometimes too, we don't know what it is that we have to let go of, but the practice of coming present can help that. And it really does put things into perspective when it comes to planning or figuring things out. And we can really get ourselves rolling down a slope, right? But to come back to where we are in this time is so helpful. Well, thanks for sharing that. All right. Well, thanks for your attention. So there's a little more to this creation story, left off with the animals, right? So many centuries after Pangu's passing, there was a goddess named Nuwa who roamed the wild world that Pangu had left behind. But she became lonely in her solitude. And stopping by a pond to rest, she saw her reflection and she realized it was nothing quite like herself in the world. So she resolved to make something for herself to have a little bit of company. From the edge of the pond, she took some mud and she shaped it in the form of a human being. At first, the creation was lifeless, but as soon as she sat it down, it took on life and it started dancing and celebrating that it was alive. Nuwa was so pleased with this that she continued as fast as her hands would allow to make more and more of these little creatures. And soon her loneliness disappeared. She was surrounded by all these all these beings dancing and being very lively. She did this for 2 days, but she could only work as fast as her hands would allow her to. So she thought for a moment, and she took a vine from the nearby pond, and she dragged it along the mud bank, and then she whirled it above her head. And as the mud droplets flew off of the vine, they all landed, all hit the earth, and came to life as beings that populated the whole world. To close today, I just wanted to share with you a little practice that you can take with you as you go forward and share food and company with others, whether that's here or whether you're at home. And you can start by bringing your hands together, maybe just holding them together still for a moment to feel the warmth from one to the other. And then start to rub your hands together. And think about how when you're really anticipating a good meal, you rub your hands together and you say, oh, I can't wait to eat this delicious food, whatever it is. And you might even start to go, this is going to be really good. You might say, yum, 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 yum. So build up some warmth and then rest your hands. Again, that space between your rib cage and your belly button could be one on top of the other, could be side by side. Coming back to our cook pot. Preparing this place physically for the food that we'll be taking in. Nice and warm. Be ready for digestion. But also preparing for the connection that we'll have with other people, with the life that may be part of the meal that we're taking in, and with the lively conversation that we'll have with other people as we're enjoying it. And this is a way you can start any meal as a group or on your own to prepare yourself for what you're about to take in.